I've gone into now 2 videos talking about the faux pas, the mistakes, or everything that typically goes wrong in a polyamorous or relationship or a threesome experience. So does that mean that I am completely against these things? Absolutely not. I, though, however, am against the advice that just gets sort of tossed out there as, well, if you're struggling with your partner and you need to spice things up, polyamory or have a threesome, invite a third person in. Now, so then that allows for the question, well, what would make for a good experience? Well, that's the thing. The very first thing I want to point out, if you are trying to fix your relationship by bringing in another person, therefore outsourcing a solution, then you're already on the wrong foot. So how do you have a good experience? Well, you two, as a couple, or as a partnership, or whatever it might be, maybe it's just 3 random people around the dinner table. I mean, let's actually start off there. You're on vacation, 3 friends, 3 people that have never met. You're sitting around having dinner, you have a dessert, things like that. Things are going really well. Everyone's sort of turned on, touch starts to happen. You know, you're kind of excited. You go back to the room or wherever it might be, or maybe you're all just sitting on the beach watching the sunset. Some touch happens. Everyone starts touching. You're in a good mood, and then something organically happens. That sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Well, take the opposite scenario. You're at a dinner table. 2 people really aren't getting along. There's one person that, kind of wants to make things better. And then you just go, oh, well, let's go ahead and have a sexual experience to make that situation better. Does that really make sense? Well, then if that doesn't make sense, which it doesn't, let's be honest, then it also doesn't really make sense to do that for a relationship. Unless you're just simply wanting then to go ahead and use this as a therapeutic session, and frankly, therapy only leads to more therapy, so I'm sure your therapist is happy to prescribe it to you, because guess what? You're gonna have at least another 5 years of therapy around that, which is a steady paycheck for them. So the thing that you're going to want to take a look at here is, 1, is your relationship in a good place that you feel so much goodness between the 2 of you that you would enjoy sharing it with another person if the perspective is about them, because you're just like, this is so good, I want someone else to get a taste of it. Or, wow, this is so good, let's explore something else. I'd love to see how my partner is with this other person, because I know how much I enjoy you, and maybe I'd even enjoy them, someone else enjoying you, and it would add to that enjoyment even more. I'm so curious just to have some more exploration. Or there's this power dynamic that I want to exercise, as now I'm using the power over the 2 of you, and you love to see me in my power. Or maybe it's this taboo factor, whatever it is that turns you on mentally between each other and you're actually feeling really good about it. Well, then if you're having this as an added tool that then helps you explore it or see a different angle from it, then yes, that would be a good place to start. But again, you're going to want to be in a good place to do that. Now, what do we define as a good place? In the other 2 videos, I spoke about the physiological or anatomical or biological factors that you're wanting to look at, the emotional factors you want to look at, as well as then the social ones, which is, choosing another person. So we already got a little bit into how to choose another person, really based off of, well, what is the dynamic that you're wanting to explore with that other person? Who is the threesome actually for? Is it because your one partner wants to have the curiosity of being with 2 people, receiving 2 things of pleasure, or giving pleasure to 2 people? Or what is that dynamic? So that way then you can make sure to actually address it. I would also say too, In terms of the choosing of another person, take the time. If you can't have a conversation with your partner around this topic in a very sort of neutral setting, then chances are you're probably going to struggle about having that conversation when there's a third party involved. So you'd probably want to start there. The other way of looking at this too is maybe you can have that conversation when it's very neutral, but what about when it's sexually charged? Are you able to have this conversation when you're actually in the heat of the moment making love? I mean, we have a whole bit of education and we've do coaching around people how to play with their fantasies, figuring out one another's erotic minds and being able to play with that in a way that is in the moment, is in the heat, because you might notice you're a completely different person when you're turned on. And for some people, it might be easier to have that conversation when they're turned on. Some people might be easier to have it when they're not. I would suggest that you're able to have both of those type of conversations and maybe go for the one that's easier and then deal with the one that's more challenging, but you're still going to want to do both because this is going to help you problem shoot and figure out, what are the solutions or what are the scenarios that actually feel good for both parties. It's like, where are the desires in this? Where are the boundaries in this? Where are the curiosities? Where am I a little bit uncomfortable but I want to explore? Where is my partner a little bit comfortable? Where do they want to explore? Where is it likely that they'll need some reassurance? Is there a way that I can just even put my hand connected on the leg of my partner the entire time that we're talking to this other person? Is it the before, is it the during, is it the after the sexual event that is the concern? Is it the fact that it's not just an event, that it might continue on and be a relationship? Well, these are things that then need to be able to be discussed, especially when you're looking at what is that dynamic with another person. Now, what about the emotional side of this? This is a big piece because you're dealing with either the potential for more physical pain or numbness or more pleasure. And I will tell you one thing. When I have worked with thousands of clients, everyone thinks it's the pain that they're going to have that they will have the most difficulty dealing with. It's not true. It's the unlimited potential and possibilities, boundless possibilities of their pleasure that scares them the most. Because it's called a drive. I mean, you have the survival drive. You have these instincts inside yourself, the mating drive, the drive for food. When you're talking about a drive, it is something that you're not driving typically, it is driving you. And guess what the other one is? The sex drive. So people are a lot of times very afraid of their pleasure because it might drive them towards something that they or someone else might judge them for. And that could be anything from shame, which is a big one. It could be fear, it could be pain or anger even. It could be, frankly, what if I'm just not into it? I'm bored and I'm the party pooper. Like, all these things get amplified tenfold when you then are involved in the emotional aspects of the either leading up to, during, or after an experience. And a lot of times, it's the fear of what might come after that experience. It might be all great in the heat of the moment, but when the mind starts to project, it goes, well, what about the after? So you're going to really want to be able to work on these emotions. And it's not just your own internal emotions, it's the ability to share and have these emotions expressed and communicated about with your partner. If you feel that you need to be able to talk more or express more or even get into what are some of the emotions that come up during a sexual act, just between the two of you, you're going to really want to make sure that you really get and understand each other as well as understand yourself. Maybe some journaling. As odd as that might sound, like get in touch with what's going on with yourself before you then even expect to be able to have that conversation with your partner, let alone then deal with the whole aspect of a threesome. Now, the last piece here, and no one ever talks about this. I mean, when it comes to the physical aspects of sex, you will hear about techniques this and techniques that. Very few of them really have too much to say when it comes to the actual act of penetration. Well, now all of a sudden you're going to have 3 people? This is all I have to say. You need to be able to figure out, to find a rhythm and the ability to attune to one another as a dyad before you start looking at how that starts to become a triad. Because if you're feeling uncoordinated when you have 2 going on, well, then what do you think is going to happen when you have a triad? You need to be able to actually tune in, find a rhythm, figure out who's maybe even leading that rhythm. How does that rhythm start to then go into a place that then everyone can fall into it, to the point then that there's just a nice synergistic, seamless flow. So there you go. If you're looking at having the best experience you can have with a threesome, it's all about finding harmony between you and your partner, and then from a good place, being able to share that with somebody else.